Yeah. Good. So we had a good start. We will get other people talking at some other point of time because this is going to be at least 1 more hour more plus sessions. Keep time till 8:30 for the session, as I said. So I'm going to share the perspective. Obviously, detachment is a spiritual word more than the practical life experiences word. So we are going to have a lot of spiritual perspective on the topic. Which comes from, I have tried to gather a lot of perspectives and also the practical aspects of it. But when I talk about it without thanking my master Avatar Meher Baba, who has given this knowledge, this space, and also the grace to understand this topic as well. Without that, I cannot move forward. So I thank my Guru and God, Avatar Meher Baba. But we are going to apply all the practical aspects of life. So I'm going to take you through the topic. So there are detachment or dispassion towards things come in two big ways. One is what is called as temporary detachment or temporary vairagya, which is also known as smashana vairagya. Smashana vairagya is about, for example, if someone, your loved one goes away from you, for the time being, you feel totally the world has ended for you and everything has come to an end. And when we go to to attend the funeral of someone, we actually think that, oh yeah, this is the end of my life. But then we come back home. All of us have to come back home after we attend anyone's thing. And then there is a life to handle. And the life throws different challenges at you. So your life continues. So, and then you have to get into the groove again and have to start living your life again. So you have to find a new meaning, redefine your life and try doing something. And also, when it is far away people, like when they're very closed ones, it is an irreplaceable loss. So there's nothing that you can replace that loss, but you still lead your life. But if there are friends or far away people, we don't know, it's just an acquaintance, then it's not so hard to deal with, because then we talk about what is called as philosophy, that all of us are going to die one day. And I'm going to end, the tree is going to die, the animal is going to die, everything is going to die. So we give a little bit of philosophical touch to it and move on with life. This is not so difficult to do. But in both the cases, whether it is your very close one, where you come back and still handle your life with that loss, or you go to different person and it's not such a deeper impact, you still have that deep feeling that is there in your heart. So that is called smashana vairagya or temporary vairagya. Now, the other one is more about irrevocable vairagya, which is also called as permanent vairagya, which does not happen with, you can't kind of induce it on yourself. You can't just say that now I'm going to get detached to the world from today and I'm going to have a very dispassionate approach towards life and try doing it. It doesn't come like that, but there is something called irrevocable vairagya, which we are going to look at the nature of it and when it happens as we go by. So these are the two big things that happen in vairagya. What we also need to look at is the philosophy and the Vedantam aspect of it when it comes to vairagya. Vedantam and philosophy is like life is unreal, life is impermanent, everything that happens in life happens for a purpose. The only option we have is to do what we can do, give our best and move on. That's a philosophical aspect. But when you are emotionally stuck with the situation, when your feelings are stuck, when you are emotionally stuck and you are having something big that is impacting you, which is also different for different people. Some people get affected with their work goals, some people get affected with their relationships, and some people even get affected because of their finances. So there are various reasons for which we get impacted. And at that time, the emotions are at stake always, that we are not able to move on with it. So all this philosophy is good to give to other people, but in our own life, it's not useful. Like we can't move it. What is told as it is stuck. We are stuck with it. We are not able to move it. So the philosophical aspect is good for an understanding. It's good good for the knowledge purpose, but action sometimes is difficult unless we have a deeper knowledge. That is what we are trying to do now. Now, coming to what is so-called detachment that we all understand from our life experiences, from our limited knowledge, or whatever we are. There are various various scenarios or various pictures or various facets of this detachment. So the first one is detachment out of resignation. Okay, so when we resign to a situation, when we think that I don't want to, I have done some effort and now I resign, I allow other people to figure out their life and I'm not going to do anything about it. This, and then you say, call it, I detach myself, and that is out of resignation. Resignation because I don't want to take action. Now, when you do this, there are two possibilities. One, you have done everything possible. You have given your best. That is why you are resigning. Two, you are lazy. You don't want to take actions. You are scared. You don't want to jump and do anything about it. And you have pre-decided that I will not do anything about it. I resign. There are a lot of people, and most of the people come from this mediocre mindset of resigning even before they have taken any actions, or they have even the perseverance is there. Before the perseverance itself, they have resigned because they have take some efforts and they stop. That is from resignation, detachment from a point of view. Now, is this detachment? I won't call it detachment. It's a state of resignation, but they call it detachment. I have detached myself. मैं कुछ नहीं करूँगा. But whenever there is an opportunity, they will talk about it. They'll crib about it. So as long as you are talking about it, you're cribbing about it, you're feeling about it, you are having some kind of conversation inside, or you're having conversation outside with other people, the topic is still there with you. You see, though you are actually there. Yeah. So you are still dealing with that topic. It is still there with you, right? So we're talking about so that is not detachment. The second thing is rejection. The thing that comes when rejection is like, I don't want it at all. I reject it totally. And see, sometimes we reject people, sometimes we reject situations, sometimes we reject what our goals also. We just give it up straightforward. We don't do anything about it. So the rejection is one aspect of it. The third thing is detachment out of frustration. Frustration means you are actually just frustrated. It is not part of your life design. It is not on your priority list. It is something that you never wanted in your life, and it just showed up in your life. So you are frustrated with it. You just throw it out and then say, I don't want to listen about it. I don't want to talk about it. And you shut off doors on front of them. You shut off doors on the other people's face. That is total rejection. We do it in relationships. We do it with situations. Then comes the diversion. The beautiful aspect of detachment is about diversion. Now, what do? We actually say that we have a problem in life, something is not happening in life, and this happens a lot with Baba lovers, I see. Every second, third day, I see this kind of people who have a lot of problems in their life. They have struggled with relationships, with their family, with the finance, with everything. There is a struggle. They go and sit in front of Baba. And they say, now I will love Baba. I will be with Baba. I will be with God. I mean, not only, even a lot of other followers, other religious followers also do that. Now they say, I will start loving God. I will shut the life and I will start interacting with God more. Now, will God like it? Will that work out? It is only escapism. You're like diverting from here to here. You're diverting because here you don't have no responsibility, nothing. You are putting all the burden on God and saying that, God, you handle all my responsibilities. I am surrendering. Now, is it surrenderance? Is it true surrenderance? Does it mean God will be happy to see you that you are avoiding all your responsibilities and just putting everything aside and just going and sitting in front of God praying and saying, now I've become a devotee. Now I've become a devotee and your family is struggling, your relationships are cursing you, you have lots of unsolved problems. So this is only diversion. Even at your job, when you are not able to do well or something is not working well at your work, you simply switch off everything and get onto phone. Watch YouTube videos or play games. Not do anything about what's the problem, but just avoid. Divert yourself into something else in your life. Now, these diversions, even in relationships, when your spouse relationship is going bad, you are not able to bridge that gap with the spouse. You're not doing anything there to sit down and sort out that problem. You will simply go out of the house and spend most of the time outside the house. Now, is it going to solve any problem? Is that the right approach? Think about it. The last one is detachment out of realization. Now, this is the important one we have to catch. When you get realized, when you understand everything at the full knowledge, when you have experienced everything, when you have done everything and you've given your 100%, now you realize that detachment is the way forward and I will do it because of this reason, and you do one step at a time and you do something about it. Now that is something that is more practical way of going through. The challenge, let's talk about the challenge here. Now, when we talk about the realization, detachment out of realization, is it possible that everyone will get that level of detachment out of realization? Again, it is not easy. It is not so simple. Even if you have God you worship, even if you have faith, you do all of that, still the detachment to your loved ones, the detachment to your things, the detachment to your money, your possessions, your family. I have been talking, my other day, when I was sitting with at a function and my uncle was talking, so he's 77, 78. He's talking about what I feel I'm going to die soon and what will happen to my grandchildren's education. How will my son build his house and do all these things? Who will take care of all these things? For the last 15 years, he's doing nothing. From the day he has retired, he's doing nothing. His son is taking care. His wife is taking care. He's simply sitting and he's hardly taking care of himself also. He's also being taken care of someone else. But now he's sitting and worrying, what will happen if I die? What will happen to my grandchildren's education, who are just 3-4 years old? So when we talk about these kind of detachments, and we say that on one side, we hear full day, we will spend time on Astha channel. We will listen to all the discourses. We'll read all the books. We will do all the things. And when we go back to life, we will say, what will happen to this? What will happen to that? So where is all this knowledge going? There is one spiritual partition of life, that you are putting all the spiritual aspects in spiritual partition and the life is in the other box. So these two have no connection. So when it comes to life, you are the same, angry, frustrated, moody, not good person to have around, you are same. But when in the spiritual quadrant, you are like very nice. Baba loves me or God loves me. I am the nicest person of the world. Now, this is about actually living a life like split personality kind mode of way of living. Unless you are happier in your life, unless you are good in your life, and you are actually making other people happy in your life, you cannot be spiritual. Spirituality and life cannot be disconnected per se. So that's my perspective. Yes, Ranga, you want to share something?
So actually, I have a comment or a question. This is in the context of parenting. That means once our children grow up and, especially after they get married off, like my son just got married, so we feel that our responsibility is kind of over. So it's more like our role may be changing to what we call in the workplace as scaffolding. That means we are there in case something happens. We are there to catch them. Is that a kind of a detachment? Because or sometimes we tend to jump in as well, because if you have given the right kind of values and right kind of support to them, we actually don't need to do anything. But the thing is, that is, I mean, just an example of detachment. But this is an important thing, especially because the children are very close to us. So that's why I'm asking this. I'm not able to fully articulate this.
Okay, so
Is it better to be detached? Is the question here with the children?
Okay. So, parenting is a one critical thing that is not very easy to detach ourselves so easily. First, we have to recognize that, because we think that in other relationships, we always think that let them do what they want to do. They are adults, they will take care of themselves and they are responsible for themselves. But for the children, the parents always feel that they are responsible. They need to do something about it. They need to take action. They go out and out to help children. Practically speaking, at some point of time, we have to cut off the umbilical cord and allow them to do what they can do. But it differs from person to person. Some people do it very early. Some are more matured people. Some do it very in a matured way, and some people really struggle to do it because they want to do something in their life thinking they don't know, I know. They are not doing the right way, I can do it the right way. They are not able to fix it, I will go and fix it. Now, these are the certain perspectives are there. From a spiritual perspective, all that I can say is God gives us those experiences that are good for our growth. If we do not learn those lessons in the easy way, sometimes these lessons come in a hard way to us. And then still, it is for our growth. And this is a very difficult lesson to learn, because the detachment is good as long as it can be preached. But practicing becomes difficult. That's my view. Okay, Ravi Garu, you want to say something? First, Jaideep. Jaideep wanted to say something first. Yes, Jaideep.
Yeah, Vidya. So, Vidya, just a question. Maybe we'll come to that later. So now we discussed about how people, are just go to God, or, they just sit back, right? Now, most of them fall under this category, right? Is what I observe. And I feel that they need an answer, right? We have to tell them. So for a person above 40 or 50 years, right, the spiritual angle works, right? So people below 50, right, you go and say these things, they suddenly start feeling, you're, different topic or planet altogether, because they're not there, right? Mentally, spiritually, they're not there. They're still stuck in this rat race. So now the thing is, it's not, these guys are helpless, but the point is they will need an answer. They say, give me these 10 things, okay, actions. I will do, and I see. If level 1 works, I go to level 2. Right. So yeah. So maybe if you're coming to that later,
so the
I'm
first,
okay.
So what I can good question indeed. It's a very good point you brought up, Jaideep. So it is very clear that first thing is the one who thinks that they need to control it, they need to action it, and they want to action it. The first commitment they have to make is massive action in life, and take responsibility and accountability of the things that are happening in their life. But if you go deep down and discuss with these people about a situation or a problem they are facing in their life, for example, a work situation, if you take, they'll often put the blames on other people. The boss is bad, the environment is not friendly, the support is missing, someone has done something that because of which the situation is there. Now, in this kind of situation, the lesson that they need to learn is if they want to control it, they have to take responsibility, accountability, and change it for themselves as well as for their surroundings. Now, the people who can't take the responsibility and sit in the blame game box, they will not get results. So one upfront answer is you have to work hard, take responsibility, and work on it. So that is it. Without any spiritual, there is no spirituality here. First, you need to work hard, fix it for yourself, and do it till you fix it. Now, this is something people always avoid. But you talk to them anything, but there is always a but that will come at the end of their answer. You give them one solution, they'll put another but. They will put another solution, they'll put another but. So as long as there are buts, there is no conversation that is possible. And if they are coming to you for coaching is an environment where you are coaching is an environment where you are open, you are coachable, which means you are ready to learn, not to question the coach. If you don't trust the coach, don't go to the coach. But if you trust the coach, follow the coach. If you don't trust the coach and simply try to question him, you are wasting your time first. Forget about the coach's time. Okay, you pay him, so you let it. He will spend time with you. But what are you doing to yourself? So these are various problems that I see. Even the elders have this problem. The grown-up adults, mature people have this problem. They are not coachable. They are not open to learn. They are not ready to listen and see what is going on there. That is the big problem that you. So you ask whether they are open to learn, whether they'll take responsibility and accountability. That is the answer for those people.
Sure.
Thank you. Ravi Garu, for you.
Thank you.
Want to say something?
Okay, Babama. You have beautifully defined the detachment part of it. And I fail to understand. You said detachment out of realization, and I didn't quite get that. What is a realization? And then you talked about your uncle who is not doing anything and being worried about his grandchildren and all. Could you expound on that?
Yeah,
Realization. What is realization? Yeah.
We will come to that.
Jai
We are just in the beginning of that. So I will, the whole expounding will happen around realization only, because the real detachment comes from the realization journey only. So I'm going to expound really on the realization. Right now we are taking some responses from people for what we have heard so far. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Jay.
Vidya, I'd like to ask you, is it always detachment will only come by working on it, or can it be a part of a natural process also?
Yeah, so that's what the same, you and Ravi are asking the same question, which is the realization process. So when we will look at the realization process also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Himal.
I just wanted to respond to Ranga's question. There was a thought around that, which is how do we feel detached with our children? Basically, I think where children are concerned, or where immediate family is concerned, because we are connected by the bond of blood, we always will have, because we also, that gives us the ground of unconditional love. We would do anything out of love. I think the question of detachment here is, what is our intent? Are we operating from a space of love, or an expectation to solve a problem, or will he listen to me? He has this issue. Can I advise him? And then then in the end we say, oh, he's not listening to me. It is not that. I think it is a question of the intent, and whether we are approached by our children to help them solve their issues. Sometimes as parents, we also interfere, without being invited into that space, which is also fine. But where a detachment in that space is concerned is where we know when to let go and move out of that thing without feeling hurt. If we are not understood, we are not liked, or our advice is not liked. That, I think, in the space of parenting is detachment.
Right. So Himal, I would, you are right, because love is a bigger topic per se, you see, and the tolerance of each person is going to be different in different parameters. So it's not from a matured person who has worked on himself or herself from their point of view. We also need to look at it because there are different people in the room. You're right in a way that the love aspect of it plays a greater role when it comes to the children. But that love is expressed differently by different people. We would have seen that our parents' love towards us, all of us have experienced different things, our parents' love. And at that point of time, we felt this cannot be love, you see. So, there are certain breaks and conditions out there. The intent is important, but let's look at other perspectives. So hold for the time being, because you are opening a bigger conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
We have someone called SN. Can I see who's this SN?
Amma, they're calling you. SN.
Who's it? Want to say something? Please talk.
Sorry, wait, I'm not able to unmute. Oh, hi Vidya, it is me, Shruti. I joined late, sorry.
Okay. Hi.
Yeah. Hi Vidya.
Hi.
Yeah. So, I joined just 10 minutes ago, so I have really nothing to add. I'm only listening.
Okay. No problem. You raised your hand, so I thought you want to say something.
No, did I? No, I did not raise my hand.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Yes, anyone else want to? Ravi Garu, you have one more song.
Just quick question, Amma. You attempted to talk about diversion, and then you switched on to detachment out of realization. Are you still going to address the diversion part of it? Okay.
So diversion, I have actually explained. The diversion is when we think that, okay, we will not be able to do this, let's get diverted to another thing. Now, then we think that we got detached from this. But in this space, you have not detached yourself. You're diverting yourself. You have certain pain points in that particular area. Supposing you have a relationship issue at home and you go out and spend time. So you're diverting yourself. Supposing you have a problem with your boss and you don't want to talk about it, you will continue to go and do something else in the other area without addressing that problem. Now, these are all diversions that we have. And somewhere when we want to take action, we become lazy and we want to pass time. This is the passing time mechanism that I explained, that we want to kill the time and say that something will happen and everything will get addressed on its own, and we'll wait someday the sky to give us a solution, and that day never comes. And then we say God is unkind. We have surrendered to him, but he is not done anything about it. So we think he is unkind. So now there are a lot of such things that are happening around us. Okay. Ranga, you want to say something?
Yeah, just a quick one. I just noticed that when you spoke about all the scenarios, they were all coming from a space of sadness and, anger or some of the negative emotions.
Yeah.
Now, can I also be happy and detached?
Exactly.
So that's the other perspective, that please bring in that. Because
we are all coming to realization. So that is why I want to explain more about. So far we have learned, that's a good thing. So let's move forward. So far we have looked at detachment as something, as a solution for a problem in our life, right? We have a problem, so we think detachment is going to fix that problem, right? So we say we just move from this to this. So detachment is a solution for some problems in life. Now, when we look at what is really detachment, if you talk from a spiritual term, which is about realizing the real life journey and the learnings of life and taking us to the next level of detachment. For example, everything is great in your life. Everything is happening at the optimum level. You have no complaints. There are certain small issues that you have. You are able to fix it. Let's say this is a life situation of a courageous one, who's taking responsibility, who's taking accountability, who's addressing things as and when it happens. And then in that situation, someone who moves up and say, I want to move to the next level and I want to work on my self-actualization, need my real purpose. What is my truth? I'm moving forward. That is the quest of every human being, to know the real purpose of their life, to know the truth of life, or to realize their true self. We are all here for that purpose and nothing else. Whether life situations are tough or life situations are easy, but everyone is moving towards that purpose. So when we realize about that, then we see that there is a need to grow up, and we try to make those efforts to grow up. That is situation where everything is positive. Now take a situation of a person where nothing is working in life, everything is messed up, screwed up, you have no control on what is happening. In that situation also, someone may say that this life is mithya, this life is not for me, I am going to move up and look at my self-actualization date. Right? Even that is possible. So that is when you realize here I'm going to share a perspective about what is real and what is not real. And when it comes to real and unreal things, Baba has given us this knowledge about what is real and what is unreal. He said, God is real and the world is unreal. But for all the practical purpose of a normal human being, world is something that we are seeing every day. We are experiencing every day. We are having various problems. We are having various things to experience. You are touching, feeling, emotional. Everything is going on in this life. So how can you say that this world is unreal and God is real? It is really difficult for a normal human being to say that. But when we go to the spiritual side and look at our literature, look at our shastras, look at what our parents have taught us, what our teachers have taught us, the world is really, there is something which is bigger, there is a bigger reality that every one of us have to understand and experience. So when the detachment aspect of it, when we attach the detachment to a positive thing, that is that you want to know your higher self. You now want to know your higher truth. You want to grow from where you are to a higher self where you can find peace within. You can find the fulfillment within. You find your real self where you can be at a positive space and you are not dependent on the external desires, external people, external things anytime. And you are so fulfilled within yourself that you are not pursuing any of these things. That is a realization when you get, and then you are naturally attached to something bigger, something good, that you get detached for the rest of the things. It is like my away from values. I don't want to get angry. I don't want to get angry. I don't want to get angry is an away from value. I want to be happy. I want to be happy. I want to be happy is a towards value. So where are you moving? So for example, if you are seeking an admission for a degree in a BCom college, you have applied, you've gone to 5 different colleges, you applied for, after intermediate, you've gone and applied. And suddenly you get, and you are facing rejections here, there, you are discussing which college, this, that and all. And suddenly you get an admission in an IIM and IIT. Then what happens? All the crib about these colleges not entertaining you, not talking to you, not this thing, everything is thrown away. Suddenly your focus is moved to a bigger goal, to a better goal, to a positive goal. So in that space, you will not crib about these colleges that they have not given you admission because today that is no more relevant for you. Correct? So something better comes in our way. So this is where is Pinky's perspective coming. Our natural life experiences move us from the bad experiences, take us to a positive space. When does that happen? When you have outgrown that situation, when you have understood it, when you have internally matured to that situation does not prevail in your life, you go to the next level. And that is why God gives you a bigger challenge. So this becomes a smaller challenge for you, and suddenly you will see these challenges disappearing from your life. That is a spiritual aspect of it. But in reality, practically, you will move away from, for example, you are seeking one small job and you get a bigger job. Now, you stop thinking about all the small people who have not offered you a job. You're moving to a bigger goal. You see, then your detachment is so natural that you don't have any cribs about it. So like Ranga was saying, why can't it be positive? Yeah, this is when the positive detachment happens. That you are happy about, fine, this guy did not give, I'm moving towards a bigger thing. Okay, so that is about, that happens when you are grown up or outgrown the situation. Now to coming back to, if you want to really understand what is this positive aspect and what is the negative aspect, or what is real and what is unreal from a spiritual angle. So if we have to really inverse the mind's perspective about real and unreal. If mind is telling you this problem is big, the situation is big, this world is real, inverse it. The problem is small, the world is unreal, God is real. There is something bigger than this problem. It is always said you are bigger than your problem. Whatever is the problem, you are always bigger than your problem. It goes without saying. That is said because the human has got the potential to solve any problem and move forward in life. So that is why that is said. So we look at what is real and what is unreal. And why am I saying what God is real and world is unreal? So from this point of view, so I'll say God is real and world is unreal. So what are the real and unreal basket? If you have a real situation basket, unreal aspects of life, if you have to put them into baskets, in the real basket, we put God, and we put unreal basket, we put the world. Because the world is going to end. The moment you are going to die, you can't approach the world anymore. Whatever possessions you have to leave it behind and go. All that you are thinking is mine, mine, mine. It's not going to be there for you. So for whatever reason, practical reason, you know one day you are going to die. That is certain to happen. It is just the timing that is going to change. So that way the world is unreal. And what is real? God has been there. God is going to be there, and God is permanent. So whether you like it, you call this universe as God, or you call your master as God, or you have some God, or if you don't have any God, it is an invisible energy that is driving this whole world. That is God. That is going to continue whether you like it or not. So that way God is permanent. God is real. The truth is real not because I am saying it, or my Baba is saying it, or UXYZ is saying it. There are many people before us who have come to this world and said there is a truth. And that truth is permanent truth, which is immovable. It doesn't change. It is there and everyone has accepted it. So there is a truth that you can perceive that truth and reach that truth so that it gives you fulfillment at the end. Whereas the desires, comparing to truth, there are desires on the other side which are unreal. Because today, any desire that starts at some point of time, it ends. There is the desire ends. Either you will fulfill that desire, or you will reject, or you will say that, okay, I can't get it, so I will give up that desire. So the desires are impermanent because they keep changing. Whether you're going to live it or you are going to give it up. The other thing is the permanence and impermanence aspect of it. The world is impermanent. because the world is constantly changing. Today, whoever is respecting you, tomorrow they may not respect you. Today, who's loving you may not love you tomorrow. Today you have money, tomorrow you may not have money. Today you have a certain designation and a job. Tomorrow you may not have the designation and a job. So that way the world is so impermanent aspect of it. But one particular thing, that your truth and your God never rejects you. He loves the same way. He stays with you, and he's been through thick and thin. He's been always with you. So that way, what is real is your impermanence and impermanence aspect of it from God's perspective. The second thing is the bliss and the ecstasy. If you have meditated, if you have done anything good, if you have done some service, if you have involved in something which is bigger than you, you get some kind of bliss, you get joy, you get the ecstasy. Whereas when it comes to pursuing your life and you pursue one desire, one after the other, you will go through the struggles. Okay, I achieved 100 meters, I'll go for 200 meters. You struggle for 200, then you struggle for 400, then you struggle for 1400 meters, then you try to be world champion. There is no end. So you keep on struggling with your life. Where do you stop? Where do you say that I will be blissful right now? I will be happier right now with I have. For that, you need some kind of extra knowledge or extra grace that you need to do. Ranga, just let me finish this, then I'll give you an opportunity to talk. Then comes the peace. What is real is peace and stability, which is the true nature of the soul, because in moments of sleep, in moments of meditation, in moments where you have been positive, you would have experienced this bliss and the stability in life. But when the problem strikes you, when the fear comes, fear of the unknown, fear of your insecurities come, your doubts come, all your negative things come, then you are only facing the anxiety and fear. There's a lot of anxiety. What will happen? What will happen? What next? What next? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And constantly someone is telling you in your mind, you are not good enough. You are not good enough. You are not good enough. That is going on in our mind because your teacher has said it, your parents have said it, your friends have said it, your boss has said it, your colleagues have said it, someone nearby has told you, but someone would have told you, you are not good enough. That voice is louder, that voice is clearer, and that voice is bigger than the voice that you talk to yourself. Those are the problems that we have. Then comes the love and attachment. With love, in the space of love, which is the real love, which is the love for God, which is the love for the creation, which is your real love to self, is more powerful, more permanent, and more going to be there than your attachments towards your people around you. Whatever you may say, the human love ends with an attachment. You may call it love, less love, more love, this much degree of love, that much degree of love, because human love will always have some conditions attached to it, and you will see there are limitations which will take the form of some attachment with conditions. Tumne ye kiya, I am unhappy. Tumne ye nahi kiya, I am unhappy. So these things will go on in our life. Then comes the fulfillment and the joy aspect of it. So fulfillment comes when you know yourself, when you realize yourself, when you found your truth, when you are totally grounded and you are based somewhere, you are fulfilled, totally found yourself. Otherwise, you may do anything in this world, you will keep running from one pillar to post. You're never going to feel that experience of fulfillment. That is difference between what are you getting attached or detached to. Are you getting attached to worldly aspects? This is what you are likely to feel. And are you getting attached to this? This is what you are likely to feel. Yeah, Ranga, you want to say something now?
No, I think you partially answered it. My only thought process was that if we take these two spaces of fear and love, because our general conditioning is fear, whether it is spiritual or whatever religious pursuits we have or whatever else that we fear. Now, only when, is it right to say that the journey of detachment begins when we transcend fear? And when we transcend fear, the obvious space we'll go into is love. So
Yeah.
is that the right way to approach it? And this is very basic term. I'm not even going to that level, but very basic. Because I feel that this takes a lot of time for all of us to get over our fears.
Exactly. That's very important actually, that we overcome the fears. And unfortunately, again, what really happens is, yes, if you can overcome your insecurities, overcome your fear, and then you will tell God, I'll trust you, God, now, because you have solved this problem, this problem, you are really there. So I believe you. Now that you've solved my life problems, I trust you. So it comes with that kind of condition with the God. If you can resolve your fears, if you can address your fears, if you can work on them, really good. It's really nice. The question will be, is it so easy to handle it? We'll listen from Jaideep. Yes, Jaideep.
Vidya, adding to Ranga's question, right? The same question when he says, how do we detach when we are happy, right? So, I mean, I just want to add to it, right? He's right? If someone's happy, then why would someone detach, right? We want to go ahead. We'll be like when everything is working out, and I mean, in today's world, right? When people say, okay, I'm happy or doing things, things which makes me happy, something very strange, right? So why would someone stop it? And even though we know that it's not permanent, right? So, I mean, so what do you think? Like, should we stop it? Should we go with the flow till it works?
So you open the chapter of Purna Vairagya then. Okay. So
Okay.
when we talk about Vairagya, the Vairagya are of three types. I'll continue because you are asking
Okay.
something which is for the next. So there are three
Yes.
types of Vairagya, which is mild or Mridu Vairagya. Then one is the moderate or Madhyam Vairagya, and third one is Tivra Vairagya. So with mild Vairagya, with mild and Mridu Vairagya, these are like coming and going. These things keep coming as a thought, oh, now I don't want to do this, yeah. This small bits and bits come. Then there's a moderate Vairagya which happens, which is more incidental, or you can give up few things in life. Like you might be, at certain age, we are very fond of wearing nice clothes. And as we age, we stop dropping that liking for the clothes or the jewelry or the parties that we go. So with the situation, the time and the age, our priorities change, our likings change. So some detachment happens towards certain things. The intense Vairagya and Tivra Vairagya is something that you are imposing on you. You're passionate about something. Like you are passionate about your bhakti, your God, or your something that even the work that you do. Some people are very passionate about kind of planting 1,000 plants across the place, and they go very passionately about it. So this is called Tivra thing. So they sacrifice everything for it. Sometimes they sacrifice their houses, their families. They go after that cause very far. So that is about Tivra Vairagya towards other things. But unless you attach yourself to a higher and a positive, a bigger space of love, the real detachment to give it up easily with joy does not happen. You cannot, like I said, out of rejection, out of frustration, out of diversion, out of resignation, if you can't work on a relationship, you resign, is not a detachment. It's not detachment. You are coming back to it, revisiting again and again. You will talk about your friends, talk to that is not detachment unless you attach it to something positive and bigger. So when you talk about the Purna Vairagya is you have actually attached yourself to something bigger, something which is more fulfilling for you, and then it becomes complete Vairagya. Then you will not revisit this. You will not come back. So the intense Vairagya is required, which will connect us to renunciation, the topic of renunciation. How do you renunciate? Do you renunciate externally, or do you renunciate internally? So the higher type of renunciation is internal renunciation, which means even if you are realized, if you have got the truth, you have got the actualization, you are disconnecting yourself internally and working on a higher cause of, like, for example, even if you have fulfilled your need for money and still you stay in the business like Tata's do. Tata has realized his dream, but he stays in the business to fulfill the higher cause for this country. They have got a vision. They have got something to work on bigger. So they stay there, but they stay there dispassionately. They stay there just to kind of serve the purpose for which they are meant to be there. So they do that work that is required to be done. So that is more about going dispassionately, renunciating internally, but external renunciation, they still work on it so that the bigger message can be given. Now, what is desirelessness? So when we talk about all this, I'm introducing various topics here. There is also something called desirelessness. If you really consciously want to work on it, really dropping one by one all desires, either by experiencing it or through your knowledge. It's always said, if you have taken alcohol once, twice, 10 times, 20 times, the attraction towards that will keep decreasing unless you have made it like an addiction. Otherwise, there is no attraction there because you have experienced it already. Now, if you have experienced it, can you drop it? Can you drop one by one, all the desires that you have experienced it? And because you have experienced something, can you also drop other such desires? This is called conscious dropping of desires, where you move yourself to desirelessness so that you can minimize your wants and needs, which is what Abdul Kalam did. Dr. Abdul Kalam dropped all his wants slowly, he became minimalistic. So for him, detachment towards any riches, any wants, any fame and name and all that, for him it was easy because he worked on his desirelessness. So you can consciously work on desirelessness so that moving to detachment becomes easy. And why we are moving to detachment? Because detachment gives us peace. We feel if we are detached, we don't want to respond, we don't want to get frustrated, we don't want to get angry, we want a state of equilibrium. We want a state of equanimity. Getting to a state of equanimity where when you are praised, you don't feel happy. When you are criticized, you don't feel sad. It is in real terms. It is not a philosophy that you can preach to other people. It is something you have to practice. Today, if you if you appreciate me for whatever effort I am doing, I shouldn't feel happy. Neither you criticize me, I shouldn't feel sad. I am merely doing my duty of expression. Now, someone gets benefited, someone does not get benefited. It's not my job to think about it. I leave the result to whatever happens to happen. So, can you reach that state of equanimity where you are not waiting for any praise or criticism and you merely do your duty and move on? You see, so that is a state of equanimity. In reality, we are trying to pursue that. In reality, all of us want to reach an equilibrium where you see that some higher evolved people are not moved from the life situations. They are able to stay stable and they are happier the way they are. You want to reach there. Now, the whole fight is how do I do it? Yeah. So I can't tell you in 1 hour, I can't tell you that how to do it, but there it can be done. It is possible. A normal human being can do it. That much I can guarantee. But you have to put efforts for it, then it is possible to do it. I also want to bring one more angle to it. In human life, in real human life, we become emotionally unavailable, which is also called emotional detachment. Because we can't handle emotions, because we have no answers to others' problems of emotions, because we are not able to connect with them at their emotional level, because we don't know how to respond with love to their love in a way that they receive the love, we become emotionally unavailable, either by keeping ourselves in a different area, busy with something else, or we say that we are busy with something else, or this is our expression. But then we become emotionally unavailable to people, and that also we call detachment. That is not detachment. That is actually being unloving to the person. Okay. So this is not, the detachment game is not about shutting up like that. Shutting off by not damaging yourself, by not damaging other people. That is where the detachment with realization is the person who's realized, he does it so nicely, effortlessly. Nothing, like you see Shirdi Sai Baba stories. Someone comes and criticizes me, he throws stones on him, he does whatever. He's in a state of detachment. He doesn't care. He moves on so seamlessly and doesn't make the other person feel unloved. If you want to, when we are hurt, we want to give it back to the other person. So we are giving hurt in return to hurt. But only when we can give love in return to hurt, that is where we are evolving, right? So these are few things that we are talking about. So balance and equanimity is the goal that we are trying to attain. Internal renunciation is what we are trying to attain. And last but not the least, we are trying to go to a place of love. We want to be in the space of love because that is the place we are more powerful. And we want to stay there, we want to be there, we want to express love, give love, receive love in whatever fashion, whatever degree, whatever way it comes. But that is our goal that we are trying to do in the case of detachment. So the practical ways of detachment, I think there are certain things that I have said. Spiritual way of detachment, you attach to someone which is bigger than you, can fuel you. Like my life is full of Meher Baba because he fuels me. I don't need anything else to come from externally from me. I have attached to something which is much, much bigger and mightier than the life's problems, my emotions, my issues, this, that, if and but. I have attached to something more bigger. So attach to something which is mightier and bigger so that it doesn't pull you down but push you up. You see? So those are the few solutions.
What is the second one, Amma? What is the second one? I'm sorry, I missed.
Second one, the second?
First one is balance in equanimities. Second one, and third, trying to reach love. What is the second point?
Internal renunciation. Internal renunciation, by practically internally renunciating something. Yeah. So with that, I come to the end of what I wanted to tell about detachment. Now the floor is open and you can ask questions or you can all debate among yourselves also. I am good. Thank you so much.
Beautiful
Yes,
talk, Amma. I noted down a lot of these points, whatever you learned a lot from this. So I struggled with, long time ago, I struggled with detachment. And I thought over the time, I felt there's no point in trying to be detached later on, because detachment is a mind quality. Whatever we do, we have to make sure that we throw our full heart and soul into it, and we need to, or we try to do a good job. And as Baba said, as spirituality says, we have to do it with compassion. So when we are trying to do a good job, the attachment comes automatically. It's a mind's quality. And then we move on to the second aspect of it. but we are automatically detached from our attachment of the first event that we have done. So we go on moving from one aspect to the other aspect, but we are still attached something or other. At one time, I was attached to one event, now attached with the second event, because we have to do a good job. Let's say I did a curry, but I'm attached to, am I satisfied with this curry? Is it tasty? Or when I serve the same curry, whatever I made, are the people praising me? These are some of the attachments I'm stuck with. Or at work, when I do a procedure, is the procedure successful or not? Is the patient, I've done the job to do the procedure? These are all simple to complicated example events. So, can you comment on that? Yeah, Baba.
I can tell only one thing, that if you think about your wife who has cooked millions of meals for you in all her lifetime, right from the time she got married to you. And she must have made so many breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all of you. And you would have occasionally told her, yeah, today the food is good. But when you start cooking, and you start cooking after so many years, and you are making one dish, you are expecting that she actually acknowledges your cooking. You see? So, but she has gracefully and thanklessly kept on cooking so many millions of meals every day. So, what you have to see here is the sacrifice the women make, and the ego state. Your ego state that for meal you have cooked, you want an acknowledgement. Or you made some dish, you want a comment on that. It's good or bad. So it's okay to ask for a comment because it's a new experiment for you. But what about the other person? So for you to learn, probably you need to look at it from other angle. Yeah. So that's my comment. So you are only, if you are looking for appreciation, you are massaging your ego. If you are looking for criticism, then also you're massaging your ego. So do we really need it? So we come to another aspect of ego then. I'm good enough. I have done so much. I have been better than other people. I've accomplished so much. What does it give you? So anyways, I'm not saying that is all applicable to you, but generally that is a state of, the mind goes there unknowingly. Yeah.
So I have a question. We spoke about internal and external renunciation. Is it that we first work on, I'm clarifying the process, we work on the external renunciation and then go to the internal, or is it that we directly work on the internal renunciation and that will also renunciate us external? What is the right approach?
It's definitely internal renunciation first.
Okay.
There is no doubt about it. Don't go for external renunciation unless we have worked on internal renunciation.
Why do we need to renounce someone? Why do we need to renounce anything?
You don't have to, really. If you don't want to stay attached, you please experience everything. There is no problem. We are renunciating because we are having problem with things in life. We are renunciating with tons of clothes we have. We are not able to manage it. We are renunciating wealth because we are feeling that the more we earn, we want more. There is no end to it. We are renunciating a lot of other things because they are not giving us the fulfillment they used to give before. So the topic of renunciation is more about, is it bothering you? If it is not bothering you, very good. Carry on. No problem.
So thank you for organizing this and taking on such a deep topic. it's very useful discussion for me. So my takeaways, we discussed three concepts. One is Tyaga, so that is renunciation or letting go. The other is Vairagya, so which involves the clarity of understanding what things are and therefore finding appropriate ways of dealing with them. And the third, which you spoke about, is how do you internally act on these concepts and how do you train? So these are my three takeaways. So you also spoke about three levels of awareness or Vairagya, where you said there is a smaller level, a medium level, and an intense level.
I just wanted to, we hear so much about detachment and karma. Whatever karma you do with detachment, and you are just an onlooker. Now, how does that affect all of us with our day-to-day life? Can we be able to reach that level?
So like you said, it is said in Bhagavad Gita, like we always get, it is always quoted everywhere, ki do your duty and leave the rest to God to decide. Don't get connected, don't get attached to the results and all that. You see, so this is something that Krishna said, and it is best thing to practice. The way we are looking at is like when you start it, like maybe if you worked a bit on it and you can do that in your daily life, that is really nice. But the thing is, if you are not able to do that, and if you are really struggling to offer the results, because the real thing is only after the realization, after self-actualization, after self-realization, after enlightenment, after knowing your truth, you are actually practicing those things that Krishna has said. Arjuna was a great student. Arjuna was a great disciple. He was, he had perfected everything, Arjuna. So he could tell that to Arjuna. But when you come to common man, common people, have they perfected it? Have they worked on themselves? Can you do it in bits and pieces? It is nice to tell other people, or it is nice to apply these concepts for few things and few things you want to take control. You see? So when you talk about a concept, then you should practice unconditionally for everything in your life. But what we do, we take it in bits and pieces. We do it as per our convenience. Then we are doing it partially. Then you are not honest. So the authenticity comes first. How authentic you are in practicing it in all aspects of it. Otherwise, it is simply gyan. We should be doing it. We must be doing it. Whenever we are talking shoulds and musts, it is meant for other people. It is not meant for self. We are teaching other people to do that. So it is nice as a concept, but not practically doing. When if you do practically, great. Please practice it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vidya madam. It was a great evening. We have learnt a lot. I think from my side, when we leave things to Baba, he takes care to see that we are in the right path, and some sort of things like wherever it is not required, the mind does not go. He sees to it that we are detached.
Yeah. So one thing
practically for me, I don't know wherever I should be. He sees. Pardon me.
Good, Dattatreya ji, for joining us and saying that one big thing that difference is, you're leaving it in Baba's hands. Great, doing great. But then also a lot of people say leaving it in Baba's hands and they worry a lot. Right? So if you are worrying about it, you have not dropped it.
You are not detached. You are
not dropped it. You are still attached. So be aware of that. One simple thing. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, so thank you all. In the interest of the time, we have passed 10 minutes. It was a great session. I thank everyone who has joined today and look forward to having more of these sessions. Thank you. Jai Meher Baba.